All right, so today we're going to talk about how, with a combination of overfunded cash value life insurance and real estate investment, specifically using the BRRRR strategy of real estate investment, you can become a millionaire in around 17 or 18 years with just starting with $33 a day. So $32.88 is what we're showing here based on a $12,000 premium. That can be what you can start with and get to $1 million in net worth by year 18 of doing this strategy. So 18 years in, we can see here we're looking at $1.18 million of net worth, and we're going to walk through this spreadsheet in depth. So don't worry, it took a lot of work for me to put this together. So if you enjoy this video, enjoy this content, please drop a like, drop a comment below if you have any questions that I somehow miss here. I would love to answer your questions. Check the video description if you want to book a meeting with us so that we can help you get started implementing strategies like this in your own wealth building journey. This doesn't have to be the only thing in your wealth building journey. You can have other things too. So the considerations here are just considering the net worth as gained from real estate investment and this insurance policy. So let's go ahead and jump in. Just to level set, when we look at this, so looking at year one cash value, premium outlay, these values were pulled directly from this illustration that I'm going to show right over here. And, we're looking at $12,000 a year. We do adjust this a bit as we build cash flow and as we build more income, starting with $12,000 a year and not increasing that until I think at least a decade in. That is what you can use to build out your real estate portfolio very quickly. And this isn't even the fastest possible. You could actually go a lot faster than this if you wanted to. But what we're illustrating is buying a total of 9 properties over this 20-year period, and then using that cash flow to build up this net worth. And we're just, for simplicity of illustration purposes, we're only buying a property every other year. So that is actually, in the world of real estate investment, that's not a very fast pace. It's relatively slow. So you could actually do this much faster. But in order to have these numbers nice and round, in drawing up this illustration, we made it so that it was simple, so that you could see the numbers in how we're taking the loans from the policy to purchase a property and then paying off that policy loan once we've cash out refied. If you're not familiar with the BRRRR strategy of real estate investment, I'll have a link up here. You can see a link that I'll put up in here to see our video on the BRRRR strategy of real estate investment. I'll also drop a link in the video description. So if you're not familiar with that, we'll talk through it some here, but we're not going to get completely into every aspect of the mechanics of that. So we're going to spend most of our time looking at the spreadsheet that I made based on these values, but just so you can see that we're not making these numbers up, we're just going to compare real quickly the cash value and the premium outlays and everything here, so that you can see that this is the same as what we have on the spreadsheet. You can see we're putting in $12,000 a year for years 1 through 10. That's what we're showing here, the policy. So years 1 through 10, we're showing $12,000 a year. We're seeing a $30,000 contribution in year 11, and we'll talk through how you're able to do that without scrimping and saving any extra dollars. And then going back to $12,000 for a few years, and then jumping to $50,000 in year 16, and then leveling out at $30,000 on an ongoing basis, because at this point you've built up some cash flow. And so we'll walk through that as we get into the details of this. So this is all just an example. Depending on your situation, if you can fund higher, we could do significantly better than this. If you can fund lower, we could still probably make this work at funding a little bit lower than this. So again, showing year 11, we put in that $30,000, a few more years of $12,000, dropping in $50,000, and then going to $30,000 per year on an ongoing basis after that. We're employing the BRRRR real estate investment strategy, and you really make money on the buy and on the forced appreciation. So that's what we're showing here. Let me fix this. So this forced appreciation, I set it to 40% because that's a really good target. If you can make that happen when you do the BRRRR strategy, then 40% is really strong. But we can adjust this, and in the end, it just changes how the numbers look slightly. So let's just say we were doing 30% forced appreciation. In that case, when we do our cash out refi from the BRRRR deal, we might have to come out of pocket for some bit of it when doing these real estate purchases as compared to when we're paying off the policy loans. So it's not hugely impactful, and I made this spreadsheet so that it could be tweaked and adjusted as necessary, as needed, based on the situation of a given person. If you want to work with us, we could help you and walk you through doing something like this and looking at the numbers based on your situation. But this is just so that we can walk through an example here. All right, so then we showed those values of premium going in, and then just looking at cash values, this coming directly from this spreadsheet. Year 1 cash value, 72.38. Year 1 cash value, 72.38. Year 10 cash value, so 23,470. Year 10 cash value, 23,470. So these numbers are the same. And then when you cross over into that $1 million net worth, we can see that's happening in between year 17 and year 18. This is happening. So this is a 35-year-old starting out, and at age 52, that is year 17, year 18, age 53. We're looking at 77 in cash value because we still have this outstanding loan from the purchase of a property. And then we're combined with the equity from our real estate. That's how we've arrived here at this net worth. Now we're going to jump into just a quick look at how you could do a little bit of property analysis. I'm not going to go super in depth with this. We're going to use a tool called Deal Check. I'll leave a link in the video description so that you can use that. It's an affiliate link. If you do sign up for a premium membership, you can, we get a little small cut of that, but you don't have to sign up for a premium membership to make this work. You can do this with a normal membership. It's what I'm walking through in this example is without a paid membership. So if you want some of the premium features, if you're going to be doing a lot more real estate investment, you should get the premium membership. Link in the video description again. But so let's take a look at that. All right, so here's the Deal Check interface. We're just going to go ahead and add a property, and we're going to be using some real properties here. So I've pulled up this property that might be a reasonable starting point for where you could get started in Detroit, as an example. And this strategy is best when we can get good cash flowing markets. So these high appreciation markets like San Francisco or some of these major metro areas, they're going to be a little bit more expensive, and as such, the cash flows are not going to be as strong. So when you're starting out, you could eventually work your way up to that, but when you're starting out, you might want to start with a market that has some properties that are more affordable, and also they're going to have what are higher cap rates, and that's a real estate investment term. I'm not going to dig too far into that, but that's one way that you can assess how viable a property is for a real estate investment. So in this case, we're just going to assume this $19,000 purchase price for this address. So I'm going to copy this address out. I'm going to go over to Deal Check. I'm going to click Add Property. I'm going to use this default BRRRR template. I'm going to do Import Property Data. I am going to paste that address in here. That autofills the property there. So I'm not going to do no things. So in looking at this actually pulls the data on the property itself, much of which is from the listing. So there's Realtor.com estimate, there's a RentCast estimate. A lot of this stuff we're just going to use as well. So this is stuff that is from that listing that really comes up, and a lot of different details on this property. And so you can see that this is actually right here. This is rented at $750 a month. This is another reason why this is not bad, because if it's rented, we don't have any pictures of the inside on this listing on Redfin here. But that's it's showing this $750 a month. If it's rented, it doesn't mean that it's in great shape, but it probably means it's at least livable. So we're just to estimate that this is a good starting point, because we're going to be starting with this in year 4. This is when after funding the policy for a few years, in year 4, we're looking at starting this out with a $29,000 investment, and that's a good amount to work on a property like this. Let's go ahead and hit save property. And so what we have here is it plugged in some of these values, and it's making some assumptions. But we're gonna go ahead and modify this, since we're using our cash value from life insurance. We're gonna modify some of these things. So let's go ahead and view recent comp sales. When looking at this, and this is ARV, so after repair value, it's projecting something like $78,000 in after repair value based on some of the surrounding properties. So this being this particular property, here's some of the surrounding properties. So there's a reasonable assumption that this is a good estimate of ARV. We're not going to go that high because really we're only going to have around $10,000, eight to $10,000. If we want to get that full BRRRR strategy cash out, not putting extra cash into this deal, we're only using our policy loan to fund this. So let's just say that we're going to be targeting something like a 45. What is it? Let's put 40,600. So that this is that first year property. That's what we're doing with our forced depreciation. 40,600. So that's going to be that forced depreciation of about 40%. The purchase we're not going to use financing for the purchase because we're going to use our policy to well, actually we could factor that in. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's finance the purchase price. And let's just say zero down because we're just going to consider for the rate that we're going to be getting out of this policy is 5%. So we're going to leave that blank because we are going to pay this property off or this loan off when we refinance. Let's say our rehab costs. Let's say it's $8,000. So that's going to give us, staying in underneath the amount and an overrun of 10% and refinance after 6 months. We're showing this when we're factoring in the numbers on the spreadsheet. We're actually doing a whole year of paying interest, but this will even be better. I'm just walking through this for demonstrative purposes. And let's do 80%. We're going to do 80% ARV financing. So 80% of the after repair value. That's what we're going to take out in a loan. Rates are not so great anymore right now, so we're going to assume a 6.5% rate and a loan term of 30 years. We should be looking at, we're going to keep the gross rent that was just put in there. It was just a value that was an estimate from, where it pulled the data from. So let's go over to the property analysis. So in looking at this property analysis, we can see that $9,385 is the cash needed. That's basically the purchase costs and the rehab costs. That's all really coming from the policy loan. So both this amount financed and this cash needed is all coming from the policy loan. We are going to end up with a after repair value of 40,600 and a loan payment of $325 per month. That's including the different costs. So when we refinance this, we're going to have a loan of 32,480. So if we go over to our sheet here and look at this, that's the exact amount that I have plugged in here. So $32,480 is the amount that's plugged in here. That's based off of the ARV of 40,600. So these numbers are exactly the same. This first example that we're walking through, we're not going to walk through every single property, just to have a rough estimate of a realistic property that you could invest in. This is something just to walk through. So our monthly cash flow with all of this and considering for the different expenses. So let's go ahead and adjust our operating expenses. So these property taxes and insurance were pulled, I think, from stuff, and we're going to do, actually 10% of rent, 10% maintenance. I think this is all reasonable stuff. Maybe we have accounting on top of this, but maybe we're doing it simple on by ourselves. So I think this is all reasonable values for our expenses. So that results in a $450 a month cash flow. And this is actually, a 40% cap rate based on the purchase price and a 19.4% cap rate based on market value. So this is what if this property could work out. So if you could find this property at this price and it needed this amount of work, that's not, I don't know whether or not this property would work for this, and you'd have to do some more analysis on that. So that's coming down to all of that, this would be a good investment if all of these numbers made sense. But we're just walking through this as an example, and our numbers are much more conservative. We're going to be basing off of a 5 to 7% cap rate, and when we get into the spreadsheet, you'll see that. So again, this tool is called Deal Check. It's really good if you're trying to do some BRRRR stuff, flips, real estate investment, broadly speaking. This is a really great tool that you can use for free. If you want to sign up for a premium membership, link in the video description. Helps the channel out a little bit. But this is what I'm showing here is all free version features. So you don't have to spend money for this to be a usable tool for you. Coming from Deal Check, we walked through this particular property. And this property, I built out the monthly amortization schedule and the annual amortization schedule. So this is all what's driving the sheet on the other side. And we have all the different properties are on these different property pages that is what's driving what actually shows up on this cash flowing assets portion. So the cash values here, this is pretty straightforward. This could be better, and I think that the cash value increases are going to probably outperform what is showing here, because I think that we can, this is based on like a 6 or 7% return. I think you can reasonably expect out of an index universal life policy an 8 to 10% return. But you can also do this with whole life. So if you wanted to be doing this strategy with whole life and having a policy that is a whole life policy, and usually you'd probably want to do and use a line of credit, so an insurance-backed line of credit, like through a company called like Bancor or something like that. But in this case, we're walking through this with an indexed universal life policy. So let's go ahead and jump in. So in year 4, so at age 39, year 4, after a few years of putting $12,000 a year into this policy, this is when we're ready to go ahead and purchase our first property. And maybe you're ready sooner than that. The software doesn't actually allow for us to illustrate buying any earlier than that, but based on this funding level anyway, you could this makes sense to capitalize this policy a little bit more, so we can take a loan, use it to purchase a property. So again, we walk through the numbers with sort of out of pocket for around $29,000 from a policy loan, doing this forced appreciation to get it to $40,600. That property that we walk through would actually be significantly more than that if we were to put in a good amount of work, likely to make it in tip-top shape. That might be a $100,000 property. That's what we're working with, though, is just maybe putting in a little bit less money just to get it to a decent rental rate. And then once we've done our cash out refi, so this is the cash in excess of, so when we do our mortgage balances, so we're taking a mortgage here of $32,000. And so when we go and pay off the loan, which was for $29,000, but those holding costs, that 5% interest that we're paying on that loan, that's we're going to pay off that loan in year 5, and we're left with this $2,030 in cash. Now you could use that to fund something nice for yourself or whatever it is. So in this case, we're sort of like simulating that money's maybe getting put off to the side, or you put it directly in this policy. I didn't illustrate putting it into this policy yet. We don't put in extra money until year 30, or year 11, and we're putting $30,000 in year 11. So if you look, this cash out refi values that you're getting from all these different purchases, that could be what you put in year 11. And on our deal check, when we walk through it, remember we were showing $450 in cash flow, and let's just say $360 in post-tax cash flow. So it's even better than what we're showing here. This is showing a significantly less amount. This is based on what we've come up with on this with the payment. So we're paying $204 a month, and that's $2,450 in annual payments, and basing that on a 2509 in income, and this is based on a 6% cap rate. Now again, our example we walk through, this is a 40.3% cap rate based on purchase price, and a 19.4. So this is we're showing 6% on this. If we change this to a 19.4, then the numbers would be kind of silly. But let's just show it real quick. So that makes the cash flow jump up significantly if we are getting that kind of a cap rate. So but that is realistic based on this market and this deal. What it could be realistic. I'm doing a smaller cap rate just so that you don't have to have the perfect deal, the perfect property in order to make this strategy work. So I think actually let's go ahead and put a 7% cap rate and look at that so that we have $476 in this. This is actually in annual cash flow. Loan payments 205. Yeah, so this is actually monthly cash flow. So again, when we jump up to if we did put in a 19.4% cap rate here and do this divided by 12, and make that money. So that's basically what this would end up being. So if we look at this 450, it's very similar. I'm gonna go ahead and move this over here. So it's very similar. A 19.4 cap rate puts this, it's showing 471, whereas on deal check it's 450. So it's probably adding some extra costs that are not accounted for in this spreadsheet. So, that's good. Let's So we're going to work with 7%. And that's what we're going to work with, just so that it's not, perfect deal scenarios. We're just working with what could be a realistic scenario for when you're implementing this strategy. That's not to say that the scenario that we're walking through with that property isn't realistic. You could do something like that as well. But we're going to have conservative estimates in this. So in policy year 6, so at age 41, we're going to buy our second property for $45,000. And we're going to do that forced appreciation. So when we're doing this forced appreciation, this is, again, check the video description, or I'll put links to it. The BRRRR strategy, that forced appreciation is by bringing in a contractor, putting in some work into the property, and making it so that this property presents better, so you can get top dollar in the rent, but top dollar also in the valuation, so as to get all of your principal back. So our acquisition cost of $45,000 results in a property that is worth $63,000 because of putting that work into a property. And this is, same principles are applied if you're doing flips in real estate. So these same principles apply. We're just doing it differently with the strategy of long-term investment. And it's safer because when you do a flip and you don't turn it into a long-term investment, one, your tax situation is different. Two, you're risking, if the market takes a downturn, then you may lose money and not make any money on that deal. And when we cash out refi, so when we get the loan for, in this case, in property 2, we're getting a loan for $50,400 based on that $63,000 of value, then we are looking at having a cash out refi enough to pay off the loan that we're taking out on this. So again, that results in walking away with $3,150 after you do that cash out refi. That's in your pocket. You could use that for a vacation or whatever. You should probably put it into this policy, but we're not illustrating putting that money into this policy. This is why, when I say you could do all of this without decreasing your lifestyle, you can actually increase your lifestyle by using this strategy. Ideally, you're reinvesting as much as you can back into this business, but you can do this without reinvesting all of it. So you have opportunity to spend some of this cash flow, to spend some of the cash out refi finances, and use that so that you have a good lifestyle. I'm not about penny pinching. I want people to enjoy their lifestyle and have a good lifestyle enabled through the strategies that we implement. So looking at this as well, we're assuming a 3% asset growth. That's pretty standard in the real estate. The past years, real estate has actually run up significantly more than that. But when considering for over the long term, 3% growth in the value is pretty realistic. And so that's factored in here on this assets value total. And this is a cumulative amount of those assets, asset values. This is the principal pay down. So this is showing the principal pay down of the mortgages that we are taking out on each of these properties. So part of that BRRRR strategy, when we cash out refi, that's a mortgage that is created as a product of that. We're going to have principal pay down on an annual basis, which is paid for by the rent. So when we're renting out these properties, buy, renovate, rent out, refi, repeat. That's the BRRRR strategy. Again, video in the description if you want to see how that all works more in depth. But when we're renting out these properties, now we are also paying down this principal through the rents that we are collecting. So this isn't out of pocket. We're actually going to be putting money in our pockets by doing this strategy. And once you have paid off all of these properties, which there's an argument to be made that you just kind of perpetually cash out refi, so you just don't pay off the properties in its entirety. But when we walk through this, we are gonna show, okay, this at age 85, so in year 50 of the policy, this life insurance policy, you'll have paid off every single one of your properties, and you'll be cash flowing, around age 86. So this is the last payment is made toward the loans. And at age 85 and age 86, you're clearing $500,000 in cash flow off of these properties going forward. So this is just a fantastic strategy in general. And so these numbers get really kind of crazy when you consider for all of these things. Every other year, purchasing a property is, in year 8, we're purchasing a property for $85,000. That's including our fix-up costs and things like that. And then, investing $115,000 in year 10, age 45, into another property. Investing $170,000 in year 12 into another property. $210,000 into another property in year 14. Year 16, $275,000 Year 20, year 18, we're looking at $375,000, and then year 20, we're putting in $510,000 invested into a property. Every other year, so 5, 7, 9, and so on, we're paying off the loan when we do that cash out refi. We're paying off the loan to the insurance company, and so it's in year 18 that we can see here we have 1.1, almost $1.2 million in net worth, which is a combination of the cash value that is in the policy and the total equity. So in year 18, we have a total equity of, so this total equity here of $1,104,000. And so that combination results in this $1,181,000. So over time, we're building up that equity, this net worth, and you can still be putting into a 401k if you have the funds to do it, or a Roth, or whatever other retirement vehicles you want. This is just walking through one example, leveraging cash value life insurance and real estate investment to build $1 million net worth. So if you factor in all those other things, you should have significantly more than this. So real quick, just to jump in and just look at some of these properties, and just so that you're not kind of thinking that these are all crazy numbers. When we look at this principal pay down, these are also demonstrated on each of the property pages. So we can see on property 1, this is what the principal pay down is on an annualized basis. Property 2, same thing. Property 3, property 4, property 5, property 6, property 7, property 8, and property 9. And so we can see over time, let's just look at property 9. This is what we're looking at in terms of principal paid in each year. And then you can see the cumulative annual pay down. So this is the cumulative amount. We see $571,000. And that is the same amount as this loan amount to start out. So, and then our loan balance at that point is 0. So every one of these properties is fully paid off after 30 years through your renters. And that's, a lot of the work in putting this together was building out. I built this spreadsheet out from scratch because I just wanted to get better with using a spreadsheet in general. But I was finding using online calculators for amortization wasn't exactly what I was looking for in how I wanted to display this. So drop a like if you enjoy that. I did not come from like being an Excel expert or anything, and this is in Google Sheets. So drop a like if this is the kind of thing that you enjoyed. I'm a numbers guy. If you want to learn how to do this, I'm not like going to teach lessons on this, but this is something that if you work with us, you can get access to. I can assist you in making this for yourself. So when we look at this, we're over time, we'll every other year we'll sort of have this extra chunk of cash that we can use this. We see fit that it comes from when we cash out refi each of these properties. We have the $20,000-$30,000 in these later years from those cash out refis. And again, you could be doing this with more properties faster if you so choose. This is just a sort of conservative estimate. And then we're building up this cash flow over time. So based on this 7% cap rate, we're looking at a significant amount of cash flow with these properties. So at year 21, this is after we have this loan in place, the mortgage, the long-term mortgage in place, we're looking at $56,000 of cash flow every year. And that just grows over time. And so, like I said, by the time you get to paying off all these mortgages, we're looking at $500,000 of cash flow coming from these. And at that point, just from this life insurance policy and the real estate assets, we're looking at 14, almost 15 million, at age 85. So this might be retirement age. And we didn't illustrate actually doing any kind of withdrawals or taking money out, taking loans to have money coming from your insurance policies. But at these ages, we're sitting on, millions in cash value inside this insurance policy. So this is the cash value column. So we're sitting on millions in cash value that you could be drawing from. You could safely draw 4 or 5% and really not even touch the principal in this. So that's what we're basing this off of, and so this grows over time, and we're from the year 17, so age 52 on, we're showing this $30,000 a year going in on an ongoing basis, because really we've built up through cash flow that amount. You can see that that cash flow is built out on this policy. So now you're not necessarily even paying the base premium or the premium out of pocket. That $12,000 that you originally started putting in, over time, that's not even coming from your pocket. So we build up that amount of cash flow really in, so by this point, so in year 15, this is when we have built up $17,000 a month in cash flow, because these other numbers is prior to actually taking the mortgage out. So the real cash flow is when you're in these years where you've paid off the policy loan. So at that point in year 17, you're generating $17,000 a year of cash flow just from this policy. But you could have been increasing your income outside of this policy and outside of these real estate investments elsewhere. So you could have put in significantly more than this. This policy, the way that it's designed, you could put in something like $56,000 a year on an ongoing basis if you wanted to. All of this is to just sort of show a conservative estimate of what you could do in leveraging this policy to build out a cash flowing real estate portfolio and to achieve a net worth over $1 million within 17 or 18 years. Again, no hit on your lifestyle, no hit on anything other than you need to start out with putting in $12,000 a year or $33 per day. That's what you would need to get this scenario started. And again, if you wanted to work with a little bit less or significantly more, you could do this faster. I just wanted to take this video and walk through an example that I think is realistic for a lot of folks. When you don't lose access to this amount of funds, this is not the same as what you do in a Roth or in a 401k, where generally speaking, you're not going to touch those funds for 30 years. In year one, we have $7,238 in cash value in year one. And you could, if this can become your emergency fund. So you can take a loan against this policy in year one or year two to access this value and this cash value. Don't think of this in the same way as you would some of these retirement account vehicles, because it's not the same thing when we are taking loans against our policy or have the ability to take loans against our policy in the event that we need to. So you might be able to put away more money than you think you can when you consider for that fact that you replace some aspects of your emergency fund with something like this. You can have funds clearing in your bank account within days when you do this and you take a loan against your policy. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like, subscribe, drop a comment below. Check the video description for links to book a session to talk with me and see how we could help you employ some of these strategies, get an insurance policy in force. Would love to talk to you, hear about your situation. And hopefully this is a good year for you. I'm recording this on January 1st. This is New Year's Day of 2023. I want to say Happy New Year to you. And we look forward to helping you on your journey toward financial freedom. Thanks for watching.